Lokoz Boxing. Anthony Joshua puts a rematch clause on his upcoming fight versus Alexander Usyk. This is actually very similar to the same rematch clause that he used against Andy Ruiz for the first fight that he lost against him. I think these clauses are actually very important if you're a fighter that has a lot to lose. And I think Anthony Joshua is not about to stop adding these clauses onto his fights, because we clearly saw what happened against Andy Ruiz Jr., where Anthony Joshua underestimated him. He didn't even think twice, give it second thought that he might have lost that he was going to be able to lose that fight. As for most people who were watching the fight, didn't give Andy Ruiz Jr. a second look. But at the end of the day, this is what made Anthony Joshua be able to redeem himself. Could you imagine if the same thing happened to Anthony Joshua that happened with Teofimo Lopez and Vasyl Lomachenko? Lomachenko's trying to redeem himself. He's trying to get that victory, to get back up from that defeat. And Teofimo Lopez won't give in. He won't allow him to get a rematch. I think the similar thing would happen in many cases, but in many other fights, if the champion or the favorite is defeated by the underdog. And this is why Anthony Joshua puts these rematch clauses in the fights. Sometimes a lot of people criticize boxers for adding rematch clauses, but I think they're very important. Not only that, as fans, as boxing spectators, if we witness a very good fight, it guarantees us that we can go ahead and look forward to another fight that may be just as good, if not better, than the original one. So it's smart thinking on Anthony Joshua's part as far as adding rematch clauses. This fight is not too far from us today. It's happening on September 25th, 2021 in London. Anthony Joshua is actually the heavily favored for this bout. If we just look at the odds, in general, for Usyk, you have odds of plus 210 versus Anthony Joshua's negative 285. And I think most of this is really based on the fact that Anthony Joshua is expected to come in as the stronger fighter. His last fight was about 40 some pounds, if not 40 pounds over what Usyk normally fights at. So it's really expected that Joshua will impose his power on Usyk. I don't think we can go to an extreme and underestimate Usyk, because let's not forget that he has a really good fighting IQ. He was actually trained by Vasyl Lomachenko's father, so that actually explains why he has a very high IQ in the ring. And he's actually used to being the favorite in the fights. In this case, as I mentioned, it's due to the fact that it's going to be Anthony Joshua who comes in heavier, or at least who tries to impose his power on him, since Usyk is actually used to fighting at cruiserweight. And yeah, he's knocked down. He's actually won by knockout, or at least scored knockouts in his last bouts, but they are at cruiserweight. Everything changes when you step up to a higher weight or a heavier weight. It's actually very rare, in my opinion, when a fighter will move up in weight and beat somebody in that weight class that's been in that weight class for a while on their first or second try. It takes a couple of trial and error fights to fight in a new division before you're fully accustomed to it and you're able to go ahead and, challenge the main person in that weight class. So I guess if we have to summarize it, it's going to be power versus IQ or footwork. And I know that Anthony Joshua is going to be imposing his power throughout the fight, or at least that's what's expected. But because Usyk is so good with his footwork, I think he's going to be able to stretch it out for the 12 rounds. With that being said, I still think that this fight's really going to be a chess match of Anthony Joshua trying to get the right timing to land the punches that hurt him, and Usyk trying to basically win round by round by making points, hitting, moving. Let me know what y'all think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Lokoz Boxing.